Hello and welcome to Hollywood Approved with Stacey and Yael. Each episode is an exploration of taste as we dive to the good. Celebrity guests, stay for the surprising recommendations. This is Hollywood Approved. Hello. Hi, Stacey. How's it going?
Hi, it's going great. How are you?
I'm so excited about today's guest. I'm excited to talk to somebody who has the experience producing, writing, doing all of the things that we love to enjoy when people put out into the world. This person knows how to do all of that.
Yes.
Yes, this
in a
is
different
our guest
languages,
today.
no less.
Different language.
Mhm.
Amazing. Today we have Anna Reguera. Hello, welcome, Anna.
How are you?
So excited to chat with you. Welcome to Hollywood Approved. I got to start with your new show, Anna, where season 2 has premiered. It is available for everyone to check out on Pantea. I want to know, you create, you write, you produce, you star. Aren't you tired?
I am exhausted because it has been a long process since I had the idea of creating this show, which was, I think, 9 years ago, when things were happening the way I really wanted it, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna create my own show." And then just creating the show is way harder than get another role. So yeah, it took me many years, but it has the best thing I've ever done, and what creatively, it was it's the most fulfilled experience that I ever had. So yes, I'm really tired. I'm so happy that second season is just out, and I already shot third season, so I'm already done with the whole arc of the show.
Anna, can you give us a small kind of synopsis of what the show is about for those who haven't seen it yet?
Well, the show is kind of like a bilingual, bipolar, bisexual, bi-coastal show about this actress who's very well known in her own country, which is Mexico. It's loosely based on my life, but it's fictional. It's not a reality or anything like that. It's just it's called Anna, like me, and so it's about this actress who lives in between these two worlds, these two countries. And but she's really recognized and famous in her own country and not really in America. And she's been here for many years trying to make it. And it's about she's about to turn 40 and also scared of becoming invisible, because that's what her mother told her, that women, when they turn 40, they start to become invisible. So it's a comedy, obviously, but it's pretty much a coming of age at 40 story.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love that you are balancing serious issues, especially issues that really are so prominent in this industry, with ageism, sexism, biphobia, all of these issues, with a comedy. Can you tell us a little bit about trying to make sure you hit that balance right?
You know what? That was the thing. I've never thought of that. I just wanted I just knew that my character had to be likable, and I was very worried about that. If people didn't like me, the show wasn't going to work, right? But I feel like putting myself out there very vulnerable, because just putting all my fears, all the things that I've been through, because at the beginning, I guess people thought, oh, she's gonna make a movie about herself. It's like, no, it's about my struggles. It's about what I'm curious about. It's about what I wanted to share with the audience, but about some experiences that I was able to manage to do well or bad, and make fun of them. So yeah, it was at some time challenging, because I'm talking about, like you were saying, being with a woman, or which is but it's just giving myself permission to do a lot of things, and doing things, making mistakes, a lot of mistakes, and letting myself to make a lot of mistakes, which I think for me that was the key before I turned 40. Just allowing myself to make those mistakes and learn from them, and also knowing that that was the time to do them. Like, I'm gonna
Right.
go and do all these things, trying to create my own show. Also talking about my relationship with my mother, with fame, all that.
I love that. I like that you've taken your real life and things that you want to look at and explore and just shown it to the world. You went, hey,
Yeah.
want to see these uncomfortable
Here we
truths?
go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like motherhood, like all the pressure when, why you're not a mom, why you're not married. Yes. All those things, like, well, you've been in Hollywood, but are you really working there? Are you really like you've been there for a while? Why you're not super famous? Like, there's so much pressure from the fans and the family, and also, yeah, and just find, like, it was a lot about, like, you have to get lost to find yourself, right?
Right.
So
I
that's
like that.
exactly what happened to me, and I think I have found who I am way more than 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you find, as you get to create and write and produce and star, did you find yourself finding other parts of the industry that you discovered you enjoyed that you didn't know you liked before?
Yes, the one that I liked the most was writing. Yes, which that's the process that I do. There's a part of that process, because the first part is terrifying, because that's when the blank page is there. It's horrible, like, just because also I'm an actress. I was never, it took me, like I said, it took me 9 years, because in that process I really prepared. I took a lot of workshops. I did a lot of research, and also, I've been in this industry for more than 25 years. So I knew what a script was, so, and all my family writes. So I had it, in I think in my blood, but I was never encouraged to do it in my whole life. And I think also women in this industry, where we weren't encouraged to do other things. And finally I was like, okay, I think my sister really encouraged me to do it, because she's an amazing writer. So I wrote the pilot, but those things, just to write the first thing, it is very terrifying. But when you're in the writer's room, because I have a great team of also writers who collaborated with me, that was my favorite thing. I think it's the most creative thing. The rest, production, pre-production, it's a lot of nerve-wracking. It's very, very stressful. And I think post-production, I really liked it. I like the editing part a lot too. Yeah.
Is there a part of it that you found that you really don't like to do, but you have to do?
I think the budget part, all the
Oof,
things
yeah.
that you have to really, and also, dealing with the studio, it is difficult, because they're keeping the money safe. So you really have to, you have to still have passion for your project, and really protect your project. But at the same time, sometimes you have to give something, right? So it is very tricky to have a great relationship with them, but at the same time, it's like being a politician. So that's very, it's kind of boring, and yeah.
I get it. I also produce, and I hate doing the budget. That is my least favorite part. So when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I always forget about that part because I hate it so much.
Well, it's kind of the enemy of creativity when you're like, I want to do this, and they're like, oh, but you got this cap. You got this lid that we got to keep on the box. You're just like, no.
Yeah, I think when we were writing, because I learned very early that you also have to write thinking on a budget, right? So you put it there, but then it's even more when you are now with the numbers there, with the scripts there. There are certain things that, well, this scene has to disappear, this character has to disappear. And then you have to choose the scene or the character or the location or the extras. Like, then you have to start. I think I'm good at that, but just fighting for. Give me more time for pre-production. Give me a little more money. We need this. We need this information. That's like a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of projects that we get to see, let's talk about some of our favorite things that we watch. I want to start with our first question. Anna, what is the last thing that you watched?
I watched the Navalny documentary, the documentary about this Russian politician who was poisoned by Putin, and that's what I would. That was the last thing I watched. I think 2 days ago. It is really, really interesting.
So how have you slept since then? That's what I want to know.
Oh my God! Actually, the opposite. I was like, oh, my life, it's beautiful. Like, like I have no problems, like at all. So, just seeing what everything he put his life at risk and with his family, and knowing that this happens and everyone knows about it, like that, this kind of like dictator, kills people. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it is worth watching.
Is it something you chose to watch, or was it on and you watched it?
I was, I was on the platform and I saw it. I love documentaries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't like, okay, we're sitting down to watch this. It was like, oh, I love documentaries. I'll watch this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I love, because it's a great way to learn, and also the documentary is very. I think it's been a new era of documentaries. Before they were pretty boring, and now the way they cut them, the way they structure the documentary are way more engaging and interesting. And actually, they they have tension, and you're waiting for the next episode. Like it's almost like a show. So it's very well done. It's very entertaining also. So yeah.
Awesome. Stacey, what about you? What is the last thing that you watched?
The last thing that I watched, I forgot what I put. What did I put?
You said nailed it.
Oh yes. Okay, there we go. I forgot. My family was in town, and we, of course, they love to watch like Big Brother and Love Island, and it's like I literally cannot watch reality TV because it will consume my life. I will get so invested and so interested in everybody. And so I was like, I will watch a show with you, but it needs to be something that's like one and done, get it off. And so when Nailed It, they had these holiday specials, and there's a comedian named Jason Mantzoukas, and of course Nicole Byer and Jacques. They're fantastic, so fun, so like just amenable. But the episode in particular was great, and so we watched it. We had watched it before, and now it's kind of like our weird family tradition. When we get together, we watch the New Year's episode of Nailed It, and it's very fun.
Yeah. You know what? Also, what I watched. I'm sorry. Love on the Spectrum. Have you guys watched that one?
Oh, I've heard it's
Yes.
great. Yeah.
Oh, good. I got so, like we were saying, I got so invested in the people, in the persons, that like then you miss them in your life.
Yes.
That's so funny.
I was like, I have abandonment issues. I can't deal with this.
I see. The last thing that I watched was The Outpost. This is a fantasy series that aired on the CW, but then eventually ended, and is available to watch on Freevee, which is Amazon Prime with commercials. So I will say, I remember when this premiered, I watched the first few episodes. Was not a fan, but I've decided to binge it because I hear that it gets so much better at season 2. So I am slugging through season 1, and it's a struggle.
That's how they get us. It's how they get us, but a lot of times they're right. So
yes,
just hang
and
in there.
I will get there. I will get there. But, yep, I've realized. I think my roommate pointed it out that I am much more of a sci-fi versus fantasy person. That said, you've got a kick-ass lead. She's gorgeous. She's really like awesome. And then there are other people that are also not too bad to look at. So, I'm
It's the
tolerating
CW.
it.
Get it.
Right. Yeah. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's on Freevee, which is Amazon with commercials. What is a show or movie that you just discovered, Anna?
I not just discovered, I just rewatched the Goonies, which I just
Hey, you guys.
actually the guy on the right, he is the lead on Everything Everywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, same guy. Like I just watched that movie, and I was watching the Goonies, and I just thought how the cinematography of this movie, because I watched it so many times when I was little, right? I watched it over and over and over, and I haven't watched it for like 30 something years. And I was like, the score, the cinematography, the acting, there's the locations, it was gorgeous, so beautifully made that I was surprised. It was really a new rediscovery for me. I was like, whoa, that's why.
I love that you're watching it now with a new lens. As a producer, you're now like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, the rhythm of the movie was so, it was so good. Like the beginning, the first sequence is like, and I was like, this was early 80s. And, that's where, that's how everything kind of like started. The pace of these films, they changed the way we make movies and shows. So I was very surprised how still very new it felt, very relevant.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years.
What's interesting about the actor that you were speaking about, and I might get his name wrong. I believe it's Kwan. He, of course, was in this and Indiana Jones, and then like a couple of things ahead of the class, and then took literally like a 20-year break, just was not in anything. So this was one of the first, or Everything Everywhere All at Once was one of the first things that he came back on. And I mean, he's in tip-top shape, still wonderful, still just so charming, and like by the whole time just rooting for him and absolutely loving it. So I adore him as an actor.
Behind cameras. I think he was doing other things like stunts. He was doing he's still in the industry, but not in front of the camera. Right?
Wow.
That's something that I read. I don't know, maybe. But that's incredible that you can do all those movies at the beginning of your career and then boom, explode again and do something so incredible.
I love it.
This industry is magical. All right, Stacey, what did you just discover?
So there is this charming little show on Hulu. I was just scrolling through Hulu one day, and I kept seeing this, just the little picture of the title, and it was like The Creamery, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. And again, it was around Y the Last Man, and finally I said, well, let me see what this creamery thing is about, because of course, it had these 3 Asian women on it, and I was like, I want to see what that's all about. And they're Australian. And so I know, Australia has kind of its own issues when it comes to Aborigines, when it comes to Asians, that kind of thing. So I was like, I would love to see this from their perspective. And it's very interesting. It really swings for the fences. And unfortunately, I think it may have gotten hampered by COVID. I haven't heard anything about a second season, which makes me very sad. But it's definitely worth the watch just for the first one, just to see kind of the way that they put it together and the unique points of view. It was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you had said that this was a comedy about a time after all the men are dead and it's just women living?
There was a mysterious influenza or some sort of virus, and all the men got wiped out. And so they would do so. I kind of just put this together, but one of the reasons it's called The Creamery is because they have a bunch of sperm donation places. And so you go through a lottery to get inseminated so that you can have a kid.
I see.
And so it's like, it's really wild. And I'm mad that it took me just now to really connect those dots. And it's like very clever. And I'm even more sad that I haven't heard about season 2 because I want to keep going. But yeah.
All right. I will check that out. Anna, is that something you would watch? Something you would watch?
That's something to watch.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think maybe it got a little bit freeze the camera, but if she was in, I would love to watch that show.
Okay. So I rediscovered a movie that actually was one of my favorites for a long time, and I'm glad that I rewatched it before saying that it was one of my favorites, because it's called America's Sweethearts.
Mhm.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I
Yeah.
remember.
So I loved this movie. I almost went into PR because of Billy Crystal's character. I was like, ooh, the idea of a publicist who spins everything, who would sell these people's stories for publicity. I was like, I like this. First of all, glad I did not become a publicist. No offense to your publicists.
Great publicists. I have my two publicists are amazing. These kids.
I agree, your publicists are wonderful, but I was like, ooh, this is fascinating. That said, upon rewatch, I'd completely forgotten a fat phobic storyline about Julia Roberts' character was supposedly fat and then lost weight. And the story, there's like a whole sub
I
story about
remember
that.
that.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
put her in a fat suit, and I had completely forgotten all of that. And rewatching it, I was so upset. Um, and so it's such a bummer when you watch stuff and you go back and you go, "Oh, this doesn't hold up.
Right.
This is not great."
Yes. And you know, it happened to me with the Goonies, but in one part was that, but in other moments where it's like so politically incorrect, everything like the other stereotypes, and then there's one scene where one of the kids start talking to the Mexican maid, and the only things he's translated, and he's just talking about drugs. Like if she's like it is really really bad. Like it's bad also for a kid saying that, and also for
Right.
but it doesn't hold up right. But at the same time, that those were the times. It is unfortunately it is what it is.
It's such a time capsule.
Yeah.
Um, ugh, it's an uncomfortable time capsule.
Yeah.
That said, it's still cute, I guess. I still enjoyed it upon rediscovery.
Catherine Zeta-Jones was an actress, and her sister was kind of like
Her
like
assistant.
her assistant, like the black sheep, kind of like of the family, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, something I don't remember, but
Yeah, and Hank Azaria is in it, and he's playing a Spaniard, which all I could think about was all of the controversy about Hank Azaria from The Simpsons, and I'm like, oh, this is so
Well, also from
uncomfortable.
Birdcage, but
Birdcage,
Hank
yeah.
Azaria was that go-to guy who could play anything, and they let him, and that was again the times where that was totally acceptable
yeah,
until one day people were like, wait a minute. And so it's like, I love a boo, like I love a
yeah,
poo,
yeah.
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's great that we can watch that, and it's like, oh, actually, like sometimes we feel like sometimes I feel like it's too much, like now we can not say or do anything, or or criticize or make fun of something. But then when you look back, it's like now, but yeah, but it's bad. We can't be that. We can be those.
Or we can be better than that.
Exactly, we can be better.
I remember uh, I was talking with, or I was listening to some podcasts, and they were talking about how, the picture of the guy who's kissing the woman off of World War II and yada yada. And someone was like, oh, oh, well, you can't do that anymore because da 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 da. And the girl was like, oh, it's just not romantic. And I was like, asking for consent is not romantic. I'm like, that's like the most romantic thing you could do for me. Like, hey, baby, you want this? Like, yes, you care about my needs and my wants. And so it's just this kind of like relearning.
Yes.
And so when you watch those old things, you're like, ooh, like I understand why I enjoyed it. One of my favorite musicals of all time is Good News. And there it is deeply like problematic, especially when it comes to native cultures and that kind of thing. And I'm just like, I enjoy this, but I know exactly why it does not hold up. And
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It really is. It's one of those things I watch anytime I watch a rom-com now, especially an older rom-com. When a woman says no, like is not interested after the first approach, I'm like, you should leave her alone now. So I can't watch, because that's not the premise of the movie. The movie is that he's got to continue to be, he's got to be resilient,
endlessly.
persistent. And I'm like, ooh, but I can't enjoy that anymore because I respect her and I don't want this. So it's really, it's hard to watch things with a modern lens. And America's Sweetheart is one of those. All right, what is the most surprising show or movie that you love?
Mine was I watched it last year, at the beginning of last year, and it's still my favorite thing so far. It's been The Worst Person in the World. It's an incredible film. Was nominated for Best Foreign Film, and I wish I had that talent. And the actress is incredible. The director, everything. I really recommend anyone who hasn't watched it. It's beautiful, especially for everyone. For everyone, you cannot even imagine, because it seems like a very simple plot, but it's so simple that's why it's so hard. It's just incredible. Watch it.
All right, top of the list.
Yeah.
Okay, Stacey, what about you? What is something that is surprising that you loved?
So there was this show on Netflix. And once again, it was one of those days where I was like, I have stuff that I need to watch, but no, let's go through Netflix instead and see what's on. And it was called The Society. And it was a group of kids. They were going on a school trip, and they get to a place, and it looks like either a replica of where they were from, or it was where they were from, but completely empty. All the adults are gone, and there are these weird parameters where you can't get out, you can't go back, and it gets absolutely crazy watching these kids try to come together and create a society. But then there's this saboteur that's always trying to muck up the works and that kind of thing. And so I think it's another one that also got hampered by COVID. But after I'm like at that point in life, one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up, I'm like, if anybody knows anyone who had to deal with the writing of that show, just tell them to write me a synopsis of what was going to happen. So I know, I need to know. It's very good, very engaging.
I love
even
that.
though it's a little messy.
Very cool. That sounds very interesting. My pick for this one is I'm not a reality show person either. I'm also not a book baking or cooking show, but I also love Nailed It.
You're done.
So Nailed It is.
What is it about, guys?
Okay, so it is the only baking show that I will watch. It's people who are not bakers trying to make big, beautiful, extravagant cakes and baked dishes, cupcakes and things like that. So it's mostly people failing at cake decorating. And it's so funny because not only can they not decorate, but a lot of times they don't read the instructions, or they don't follow what they're supposed to do. I think one of the best ones is some guy puts salt instead of sugar. So it's so funny. The episodes are short. Nicole Byer is fantastic. I'm not swearing. She is the best. And what I love is when something is terrible, she finds a positive.
Yes.
And she's so encouraging, even though you know that you messed up terribly. She will spit it out and then tell you a positive. That's so kind of her. Also, also for some reason she is on some producer or PA or someone on the show. There's no context as to why it happens, but it does.
And it's great every time. And the guy, Wes, he loves it. And he has a wife and kids and all that stuff. And they think it's hilarious. So it's great.
Also this is a show that I can watch with my parents. And we laugh together. It's very family friendly and wholesome, which is usually not my style. Which is why it's very surprising that I love this. I don't like baking. I don't like baking shows, and I don't like family friendly. But here it is.
Amazing.
Yeah, It's so good. It's on Netflix. There's plenty of it. And they did a spinoff. I started watching Nailed It Mexico.
I was about to say Nailed It Mexico.
Yeah.
A great guest because I'm the worst cook. Like, I have no idea about measurements or math. I feel like, right? Like, you really have to, like, especially baking and instructions, and I'm not good with my hands. Like, I have no talent with anything that's crafty. So I think if anyone wants to invite me to be a guest, I think
I was going to say they got to have a celebrity edition specifically with you, Anna. I love it.
That's so funny. Now I really want to see that. I will also say Nailed It, the last season, I think they were doing a Halloween season. And the crew went on strike, and so the show shut down in support. And I think that is something that should be on the record, and another reason to watch Nailed It.
nice.
I love that.
Yeah. And our last question is, what is a show or movie that you were heartbroken by the cancellation, or sad that it's over? Anna, we'll start with you.
You know what? For me, I think Killing Eve. It's a show that I really enjoyed, and I really liked everyone involved in that show. The actresses, the showrunner, which is Phoebe. Well, I can say her last name. The actress from Fleabag. She also, because she wrote it and showrun the show, and a lot of female involved. So it's a show that I really love. The locations, the acting, the way the characters were built, and it's sad to see it go.
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she is fantastic. Yeah. Really good.
Did you watch Killing Eve, Stacey?
Oh, yes. Yeah. You know what's funny? I avoided it for so long. And I remember watching the first season. I was like, I don't like this. I was just like, there was something about it that just didn't mesh well with me. And a lot of it had to do with the fact I couldn't stand Villanelle. I love her actress, Jodie Comer. Thank you. Yes. And she's fabulous, but I just could not connect with Villanelle. And then there was an episode in the second season where, for whatever reason, it just clicked right into place, and I was like, I'm on board, and we're going on this journey. So yeah, when I heard that it was going to be the last season, I was just like, oh, come on, guys.
That's so funny. I had heard about it. People were talking about it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna check this out. I loved it. I was like, this is fantastic. It's so funny. It's so wacky and surprising. And then when the second season came out, for whatever reason, I was like, I'll get to it. I put it off, and I couldn't remember. I don't know why. I sat down to watch the second season. I was like, this is amazing. What was I waiting for? Right. Why was I like, I don't know. It's great. But the ending was not my favorite. I think it ended very poorly.
Yeah.
And so I like that you picked it for heartbreaking cancellation, because it wasn't canceled, but the way that it ended was kind of
exactly. I think it's like a show that actually came out like incredible, great, and then it went like, ooh, it was kind of like what's it called? Like
free fall, just
like fizzled.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes, definitely. And my sister thought the same. A little of the show when I put her the first episode, and she didn't connect with the show. I connect immediately with the character, with Villanelle, and she didn't connect. And I'm surprised that you say that, because I was like, oh, you're not connecting. It's so good. It was a show that it was very.
There was something for me that was a little one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I understand that, she's bad and she loves to be bad, but, like, okay, you have an abusive mother or whatever, but once they really, especially when they showed her family, and you're like, oh, I understand exactly why you are the way that you are. Right. And it was perfect. Yeah. So it just took me a while, but once I did, I was on board.
Mm-hmm. I love that. All right. Stacey, what is a show that you were heartbroken by its cancellation?
So
this is new. This is a new one.
And my heart. So there has actually, I just wrote a story about how there has been a slew of cancellations of shows with queer female leads specifically. And so we talk about Killing Eve. First Kill on Netflix was another one. The new Batgirl movie, Batwoman, just all this stuff. And you're like, what is going on? So this was The Wilds, and it was on Amazon Prime. It was so good. It's a group of girls, kind of reverse Lord of the Flies. A group of girls get stuck on a desert island, and you kind of watch them survive, but then there's so much going on in the background, and you're just like, how is this all going to come together? Well, the second season introduced boys to the concept. So they have a desert island with boys, but it still managed to center the female stories, and the guys' stories were more of an accessory. And so I was really looking forward to the third season because, of course, all heck breaks loose and they're like ready to go on to the next thing. And so, and I just heard about the cancellation. It starred Rachel Griffiths, who was Brenda on 6 Feet Under. I love her and everything. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, this is going to be crazy in the best way. And it absolutely is. It's crazy in a wonderful way. And so I'm hoping that someone will pick it up, but I haven't heard much just yet. So fingers crossed.
I really liked the first season and was really excited about season 2 to explore the behind the scenes part, because the premise is right that these women are stranded on this island, that it was not by accident.
Right.
And so I wanted more information about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the thing that actually probably killed this show was Yellow Jackets, because it was very similar, but more successful.
Yeah.
And
I love Yellow Jackets.
Right.
I
also
love
great.
Yellow Jackets.
Well,
I wish
I wanted to watch it. Actually, I was gonna watch that instead of the documentary of it. Because my friend Ella Purnell, because I just did Army of the Dead.
Yes. Oh, I love Ella.
I wanted to watch the show, but I went another way. So I'll watch Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets is great.
It gets into that thing of Hollywood, which I was hoping that we were moving away from a little more quickly, but we're still kind of in the area of there can only be one.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about like queer female leads, are like, oh, well, we got Yellow Jackets, so we don't need the Wilds, we don't need First Kill, we don't need that. And it's like, no, we need all of it. Bring it all in. You have the money. Like, let's be real.
I think the other problem, or at least my problem with the Wilds, my biggest complaint is that the second season did not, I feel like, move the story forward. And the way that the second season ended told me that the third season was going to be the same thing as the first 2 seasons. And that's how I felt.
See, and I actually kind of had the opposite idea, because I thought, the third season, I feel like they were trying to do like a developmental slow burn. I feel like in his head, or whoever it was that creates the show, it might be her, I apologize, but I feel like they had 6 seasons in their head, and they said, all right, season 1, we're going to do this, and so they thought that they had time to give the slow burn. And I was like, we're in an area right now where you can't assume that you're going to have time to do the slow burn.
Yeah. Shows are cut left and right. You have no time.
And successful shows. Yeah.
Speaking of,
are we out of time?
No, I want to tell you my canceled show. I was heartbroken. Speaking of queer leads, DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which was the most underrated of the CW superhero shows. If you want to go and binge it, skip all of season 1. There's no reason to watch it. Start on the first episode of season 2. Genuinely, you're welcome. Start at the beginning of season 2. That's where the story begins. And you get this really incredible cast of characters. It's beautifully diverse in all ways. It's a time travel show, because I love time travel. It's sci-fi, it's shenanigans. They at some point realized that no one was paying attention and they could do what they wanted. And so they started doing what they wanted. And it's fun and wild. And then it just got canceled out of nowhere.
It was an undercover fave for a lot of people. Like, I'm not sure exactly what the numbers were, but I do know a lot of people watched it and a lot of people were very, very invested. So, like, out of all of the Arrowverse shows, that was their show. And so when you see like the Flash get, renewed for season 9, which is like, oh great, but then of course Batwoman and Supergirl and just all the other stuff just get cut. You're like, come on, guys. So, yeah, it's wild.
Wow, what a sad question we asked. Sorry to end on a sad note, everybody. But on a good note, Anna, why don't you tell everybody where to find you and your show and everything that you've got going on?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me in the show, and this is a great opportunity for my show Anna to be promoted and talked about. So I'm very grateful for your time. You can watch Anna in the US and Puerto Rico. You can watch it on a stream pantalla or pantalla, which is kind of like the Netflix for Latinos, where all the amazing content, Latin content is there. And in the rest of the world, you can watch it on Prime Video. It has subtitles, which is incredible because now it's and also you can also have it with dubbing, right? But it's always
nice.
I'm happy. I don't know. I think subtitles are better. I don't know, but yeah, you can watch it. You can watch season 1. You can watch season 2. It's out there. I hope you guys love it. I think it's great, also refreshing to watch shows from other countries, from other languages, because it gives you other perspectives and other locations and things and actors that you don't usually see. So, and I think it's a great cast, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome. And are you on social media if people want to tell you their thoughts?
Yes, I'm on social media. I'm Adela Reguera, or A Della Reguera. It's my name, A and my last name together, and that's the same on Twitter and on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, I want to remind you that the Hollywood Critics Association has a lot of amazing content coming out each week, including many after shows, Pop Council on Mondays, this show on Tuesdays, so much more. Until next time, Stacey, where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to these days?
You can find me on TikTok. No, you can't. Well, you can, but you don't want to. You can find me on Instagram, though, and Twitter at Sticky Keys, STICKYKEYS. And you can find me this weekend at the HCA TV Awards. So tune in.
Amazing. I love that you're promoting a TikTok that you don't have.
I have it, but I update it once a century.
That's amazing. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That is YAELTYGIEL. I do have a TikTok, but I've decided to use it just as a dating app. So I
still need the deets on this.
I'm trying to make it work. But check me out everywhere at Yael Tygiel. I will also be at the HCA TV Awards this weekend. And we will be back. Oh, yeah?
Yay! Oh, I can't wait.
We're all going to be there. That's so exciting.
I'm going to be presenting. I'm super excited.
Oh, yay! I can't wait. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yay. Bye.